what we really want to happen is when we add one, we want to be able to type in it, right? So we're a couple steps away from doing that, but that's our ultimate goal. So I want to do something first. I want to move the new ones to the top because, frankly, it's a pain in the butt to click a button and then have to scroll to get to the empty form. Because if we had a bunch of things here, you know, you're going to have to scroll, and that's really inconvenient as soon as you click the button. So we're going to add new things to the top instead. So how the heck are we going to do that? It's not an array, right? It's an object. So to do that, we need to change the way that they're displayed in ThingList. Let's look at ThingList. We need to sort this array of keys in such a way that the new ones will be at the top. How can we do that? We have an array of keys, and we want it sorted with the new ones on top. So the newest one will always have the highest timestamp, right? It ought to. So we'll rely on that. Have we used array sort at all? Can't remember whether we did that on Mega Roster. I don't think we did. So that's another array function. Object.keys gives us back an array containing just those keys. And then we're going to sort that array, then we're going to call map. So let's look up array sort. JavaScript array sort. Okay, here we are in MDN. The sort method sorts the elements of an array in place and returns the array. The sort is not necessarily stable. The default sort order is according to string Unicode code points. So you can call just sort if that's how you want to sort it. Or you can pass in a compare function. Then we can set our own rules. That's probably what we want to do. So let's call sort and let's pass in some sort of function. We could make a little arrow function here, or we could actually write it separately. Although it's a one-liner, it's kind of a long line, so I'm going to go ahead and make a function for this. So ThingList itself, being a functional stateless component, is just a function, right? But you can create functions inside functions, and they're just kind of local to that function. So let's do that. Before the return statement, I'm going to add a new function, const sort things. Once again, it wouldn't actually have to worry about the binding of this, so I guess I won't make it an arrow function. I just like arrow functions. They make me happy. But I do have to, yeah, I do need to do that if I'm going to use const. This isn't a class. So let's see about this compare function. If compare function is applied, the array elements are sorted according to the return value of the compare function. If A and B are two separate elements being compared, so let's just make the arguments A and B, then if compare function A comma B is less than 0, sort A to a lower index than B, i.e. A comes first. If compare function A, B returns 0, leave them unchanged. If compare function is greater than 0, sort B to a lower index than A. Compare function AB must always return the same value when given a specific pair of elements, A and B, as its two arguments. If inconsistent results are returned, then the sort order is undefined. So compare function looks like this. If A is less than B by some ordering criterion, return -1. So we have to come up with criteria that's going to make those appear in the right order. So A and B are going to be each adjacent set. So it's going to compare each item in the array to every other item in the array to get them in the right order. So we just need to define a rule for how we compare two of them. So Gosh, how are we going to do that? What if we basically want the difference in IDs to be the thing, right? But the IDs are strings, and if we just compare the strings, it's not necessarily going to compare the same way that a number would. So we want to get the numbers out of the strings. And then whichever one has the bigger number, we want to have the lower index. In other words, we want it to be closer to the beginning of the array, right? So usually what you'll see, if we were, let's just play around in the console for a minute, or maybe in CodePen. Let's make an array. With 4, 7, 2, 3, 9, like that. Then let's say array.sort. Let's just make our little function here, A, B. What if it just returns A minus B? And then we console log the result. 2, 3, 4, 7, 9. That did it. So the description of the sort function sounds complicated, but it's really simple. You have two things, and you want to say which one's bigger, so you just give it a math problem that sort of answers the question by whether it's a negative number, 0, or a positive number. So if we wanted it to go from 9 to 2 in the other order, just do b minus a. 9, 3, 2, 7, 4. And then 9, 7, 4, 3, 2. It calls it repeatedly until it gets it in the right order. Or it, I guess it just said B. It would probably just return to B the first time. So make a little more sense. So since we want the big numbers first, we essentially want to say, B minus A. Unfortunately, it's more like B dot ID and then something to get just the number out of that ID. So I'm not going to go into excruciating detail. I'll go ahead and save this somewhere. Put it in Slack. I'm not going to go into excruciating detail about how I'm getting the numbers out of here. Suffice to say, I'm going to use regular expressions. If you want, you can Google, getting numbers out of a string with a regex or something. Regular expressions are, do you know what they are? Who's never heard of them? Aside from the time that I mentioned them last week. No one has not heard of them? Okay. Who has not heard of regular expressions? Okay. Right. Yeah, I'm really not sure if my question is being understood. I don't think that's a hard question. But basically regular expressions are a way to search through text and find something that matches some pattern. It's not as simple as just looking for a string. You're looking for a pattern. And they are definitely beyond the scope of this class. But go look up a regular expression tutorial. They're neat and they're very useful. So for this one, what we have now is the key. So if I just take B, which is the key, and call match, which is something that finds something out of a regular expression. The regular expression I want, and regular expressions are denoted by forward slashes as at the beginning and end, just like a quote at the beginning and end of a string. The one I want is \d plus, which is going to match any number of consecutive digits. So any place that there are a bunch of digits in a row inside this string, that's going to be a match. And I want the first match out of that. I want the first set of digits that I come to. And remember, if I wanted it big numbers first, I did the subtraction this way. So I have B here. And then I want the same thing with A. So A dot match, look for a set of consecutive digits within that string. Now our sort array function needs to actually pass in sort things. So let's say sort things. It's not this dot sort things, remember. This isn't a class. Sort things is effectively just a local function inside this function. So it's just called sort things. What if I add a new thing? That looks like I screwed it up somehow. How did I screw that up? Well, they're 1, 2, and 3. And so let's look at our state. I'm going to say 1495632923405 is bigger than 3, right? Mm-hmm. So when I run that regular expression on thing 1, I'll just get back 1. So it's any number. Actually, plus is 1 or more. Yeah. Thing 1, thing 2, just as I expected. How about I look at this? 2, 3. Add a new thing. That's stripping it out, right? B should be first. I'll switch them real quick, but that shouldn't. Oh, I know what it is. You have to return that. I forgot return. Yeah, it has to actually return something for sort to know what to do with it. Now biblettuce is on top, and if I add another thing, it goes on top. Very good. So sort things by ID.